Genoa City is heading into one of its most emotional and explosive stretches yet, and the next couple of weeks on The Young and the Restless are setting the stage for life-changing decisions, shocking confessions, and dangerous consequences that no one truly sees coming. Right now, everything begins with tension building in multiple directions, and the pressure is starting to crack even the strongest relationships in town. One of the biggest emotional turning points comes from the Winters family, where hope and fear are colliding at the same time. A major medical development shakes things up when a bone marrow match is finally found for Malcolm Winters. On the surface, this sounds like a miracle, something the family has been desperately waiting for. Lily Winters is overwhelmed with relief and gratitude, believing this could finally be the breakthrough that saves her father's life. But in Genoa City, nothing ever stays simple for long. The fact that Kane Ashby turns out to be a match brings a complicated layer to the situation. While it opens the door to a potential life-saving procedure, it also raises emotional tension within the family. This is not just a medical decision, it becomes deeply personal, layered with history, trust issues, and unresolved feelings that resurface under pressure. As Lily tries to hold everything together, she is forced to balance hope with uncertainty. Even though she wants to believe this is a second chance for her father, there's an underlying fear that something could still go wrong. And in true soap opera fashion, those fears are not unfounded. At the same time, Devon Winters is dealing with his own emotional storm, and it's not something he can easily control. Devon reaches a breaking point after the court refuses to overturn Mariah Copeland's plea deal. For him, this is more than just a legal disappointment, it feels like injustice. Someone he cares about is stuck in a situation he believes is unfair, and that frustration quickly transforms into anger. What starts as concern soon escalates into full-blown rage. Devon becomes increasingly unstable emotionally, and those closest to him can clearly see he is not thinking rationally. Abby Winters tries her best to calm him down and keep him grounded, but Devon is not in a place where he is easily reasoned with. There is a growing concern that Devon might take matters into his own hands. Instead of waiting for legal outcomes or accepting decisions he disagrees with, he may choose to act independently, going behind Abby's back in an attempt to fix things his own way. That kind of decision could easily push him into dangerous territory and create even more problems than the ones he is trying to solve. Meanwhile, another major storyline is quietly building in the background involving Nick Newman. Nick is going through one of the most difficult emotional and physical struggles he has faced in a long time. He is dealing with addiction issues and is clearly not in control of the situation anymore. The pressure surrounding him is intense, and every decision he makes feels like it carries serious consequences. Adam Newman finds himself in an impossible position, trying to manage the situation while also protecting his brother. At one point, Adam is forced to allow Nick access in a way that raises serious concerns about where things are headed next. It's a morally complicated situation, and neither brother feels like they are making the right choices, just the necessary ones. But things take a darker turn when danger outside Genoa City begins to close in. Nick and Adam eventually find themselves forced to confront a very real threat involving Matt Clark. This isn't just personal drama anymore, it becomes a survival situation. The stakes are high, and the tension builds as they try to protect Noah Newman and Sharon Newman, who are both caught in the middle of the chaos. Everything begins to spiral quickly, and control starts slipping away from everyone involved. In the middle of this chaos, Nick's condition worsens. He ends up collapsing after taking a dangerous substance, which makes the situation even more urgent. This moment becomes a turning point for his storyline, pushing everything toward a much darker and more serious direction. As these events unfold, a mysterious presence begins to appear around the edges of the story, Sienna Devon. Her timing raises questions, especially as she arrives during moments of crisis. Instead of immediately bringing clarity, her presence only deepens suspicion. Sharon, in particular, begins to question where Sienna's loyalties truly lie. At this point, nothing feels stable anymore. Family bonds are being tested, trust is breaking down, and every decision seems to lead to another complication. Genoa City is on the edge of a major shift, and the next moves from Devon, Nick, and the rest of the Newman and Winters families will determine just how far things are about to fall apart. As the chaos in Genoa City continues to escalate, the situation becomes even more intense as secrets begin to surface and emotional pressure pushes key characters toward decisions they may not be able to undo. Nick Newman's storyline takes a major turn after the dangerous events surrounding Matt Clark begin to settle. Although Nick survives the immediate crisis, he is far from okay. The physical and emotional toll of everything he has been through starts to show in a serious way. For Nick, the real battle is just beginning. After collapsing earlier from tainted drugs, he is forced to confront the reality of his addiction. This is no longer something he can hide or ignore. The situation has reached a breaking point, and denial is no longer an option. Eventually, Nick makes a difficult decision. He chooses to confess everything to Victor Newman. This moment becomes one of the most emotionally heavy parts of the story. Nick finally admits that he has been struggling with addiction, something he has tried to handle on his own for too long. The confession is not easy. There is shame, fear, and regret all mixed together. Victor's reaction is intense but controlled. Rather than reacting with anger alone, Victor shifts into protective mode. For him, family always comes first, and Nick's condition becomes his top priority. He immediately takes steps to ensure Nick receives the best possible help, arranging treatment quietly and carefully to avoid public exposure. However, even with support, recovery is not simple. Nick's road ahead is uncertain. Addiction recovery is not a straight path, and setbacks are possible. The emotional weight of everything he has experienced in Las Vegas continues to linger, making it even harder for him to fully stabilize. At the same time, Genoa City is not slowing down. Devon Winters continues to struggle with the fallout from the court's decision regarding Mariah Copeland's plea deal. His anger does not fade, it grows. The frustration inside him reaches a point where it becomes difficult for him to think logically about the situation. Abby Winters tries once again to keep him grounded, but Devon is emotionally overwhelmed. There is a strong possibility that Devon will take another impulsive step, acting independently and potentially putting himself in conflict with others who are trying to handle things through legal channels. His need for control and justice is pushing him toward risky territory. Meanwhile, a surprising shift begins to form in the Abbott and Newman dynamic. Jack Abbott starts working on a secret plan, and the details remain tightly guarded. However, it becomes clear that his actions are not random. Jack is always strategic, and whatever he is preparing seems designed to influence Victor Newman in a very personal way. Soon, Nikki Newman becomes part of the equation. There are hints that Jack and Nikki may present themselves in a way that suggests a romantic connection or at least a calculated appearance of closeness. On the surface, this move appears to be aimed at provoking Victor's jealousy and disrupting his emotional balance. But in Genoa City, manipulation always comes with consequences. While the plan may seem clever at first, it carries serious risks. Diane Jenkins Abbott is also watching closely, and any perceived threat to her marriage could trigger old insecurities and lead to unexpected reactions. History has shown that Diane does not easily ignore situations that involve Jack and Nikki. This creates a delicate emotional triangle where misunderstandings could easily spiral out of control. As all of this unfolds, the Winters family continues to deal with the emotional weight of Malcolm Winters' medical situation. The bone marrow match remains a central focus, and decisions surrounding the upcoming procedures bring both hope and anxiety. Lily Winters finds herself emotionally pulled in multiple directions. On one hand, she is hopeful that Kane Ashby's match could save her father's life. On the other hand, she is aware that the procedure is not without risks, both medical and emotional. The situation forces her to confront unresolved feelings that she thought were in the past. Every storyline in Genoa City is now connected by one common theme: pressure. Secrets are being revealed, relationships are being tested, and emotional control is slipping from nearly everyone involved. What begins as individual struggles is quickly turning into a larger chain reaction that could reshape alliances and rivalries across the entire town. The pressure in Genoa City continues to rise as the fallout from recent events begins to spread across multiple families, creating new conflicts while old tensions refuse to stay buried. What once felt like separate storylines are now tightly connected, and every decision is starting to carry serious consequences. Nick Newman's confession to Victor has already changed the dynamic within the Newman family, but the impact doesn't stop there. As Victor takes control of the situation, he quietly begins making arrangements behind the scenes to ensure Nick receives treatment without any public exposure. Victor's focus is simple: protect the Newman name while saving his son. However, not everyone agrees with how quickly things are being handled. Some family members feel that Nick should take responsibility publicly, while others believe discretion is necessary to avoid further damage. This difference in opinion creates subtle tension inside the family, even if it is not openly spoken. Nick himself is struggling more than he admits. Even after confessing, the emotional weight does not disappear. Shame, guilt, and frustration continue to follow him, making recovery feel like an uphill battle. There are moments where he appears determined to get better, but there are also signs that the road ahead will not be stable. Meanwhile, Adam Newman is also affected by everything that has happened. Although Adam played a key role in helping during the crisis, he is left questioning whether he made the right choices. His relationship with Nick remains complicated, and this situation only adds another layer of emotional distance between them. Even when they are on the same side, trust between the brothers is never simple. Across town, Devon Winters is reaching a critical emotional edge. The court's refusal to change Mariah Copeland's plea deal continues to haunt him. Instead of accepting the outcome, Devon becomes more convinced that the system has failed someone he cares about. That belief slowly turns into obsession. Abby Winters tries repeatedly to calm him down, but Devon is no longer fully listening. He begins to isolate himself emotionally, focusing more on what he believes needs to be fixed rather than considering the consequences of his actions. This mindset puts him on a dangerous path, especially as he starts to consider taking matters into his own hands once again. There is a growing concern that Devon's decisions could lead to a confrontation with others in Genoa City. What makes the situation more complicated is that his anger is not coming from selfish motives, it comes from loyalty and pain. However, even justified emotions can lead to destructive outcomes when they are not controlled. At the same time, the Winters family is still dealing with the medical crisis involving Malcolm Winters. The bone marrow match remains a central focus, but the emotional impact is becoming more intense as the procedure approaches. Kane Ashby's involvement continues to create complicated feelings within the family, especially for Lily. Lily finds herself stuck between hope and emotional confusion. While she wants to believe this is a chance to save her father, she cannot ignore the emotional weight of Kane's presence in this situation. His connection to the family history brings back unresolved feelings that she thought she had moved past. Every interaction becomes emotionally layered, even when the topic is medical. As the Abbott and Newman tension continues to develop, Jack Abbott's secret plan starts to take shape more clearly. While the exact details remain hidden, it is obvious that his strategy involves psychological pressure rather than direct confrontation. Jack understands Victor's weaknesses better than most people. His approach appears designed to create emotional disruption rather than open conflict. By positioning himself carefully and involving Nicky Newman in a subtle way, Jack is attempting to shift the balance of control in Genoa City. However, these kinds of moves are never without risk. Nicky finds herself in a complicated position as she becomes indirectly involved in Jack's strategy. Whether she fully understands the plan or not remains unclear, but her presence alone is enough to create tension between her and Victor. Victor, on the other hand, is not blind to what is happening. Even if he does not immediately react, he is always observant. Any perceived manipulation involving his family is something he takes very seriously. This sets the stage for a possible counter-move in the near future. Meanwhile, Sharon Newman and Noah Newman are still recovering from the traumatic events connected to Matt Clark. Although they are physically safe for now, the emotional scars are far from healed. Sharon, in particular, is still trying to piece together what really happened and who can be trusted. The arrival of Sienna Bacall only adds to her uncertainty. Sienna's behavior continues to raise questions. Instead of providing clarity, she creates more confusion. Her timing during critical moments makes it difficult to determine whether she is an ally or someone with hidden motives. Sharon's instincts tell her that something is not fully right, and she remains cautious. As all of these storylines continue to unfold, Genoa City feels more unstable than ever. Every family is dealing with its own crisis, but the overlapping nature of these events means that no one is truly isolated. Decisions made in one corner of the city are immediately affecting others, creating a ripple effect of drama, emotion, and tension. Genoa City continues to spiral deeper into emotional chaos as secrets, manipulation, and high-stakes decisions begin to collide in ways that will permanently change relationships across multiple families. Nick Newman's condition remains fragile, even after Victor steps in to take control of his recovery. On the surface, things appear stabilized, treatment is arranged, and the family is trying to move forward, but internally, Nick is still battling the hardest part of his journey. This isn't just physical recovery. It's mental and emotional survival. Nick struggles with guilt over how far things went before he admitted the truth. Every attempt to regain normalcy is interrupted by reminders of what happened in Las Vegas and the dangerous path he nearly lost himself on. Even with support around him, there are moments where the pressure feels overwhelming. Victor, however, is not allowing any room for failure. He continues to monitor the situation closely, ensuring Nick stays on track while keeping everything discreet from public attention. For Victor, control is essential, not just over the situation, but over how the Newman family is perceived. Still, even Victor cannot control everything. Across town, Devon Winters is becoming increasingly unpredictable. His frustration over Mariah Copeland's legal outcome continues to grow, and what once started as emotional disappointment is now turning into a dangerous obsession with justice. Devon is no longer simply reacting, he is planning. Abby Winters senses the shift in him and becomes more concerned with each passing day. She tries to reach him emotionally, reminding him that pushing too far could create consequences he won't be able to undo. But Devon's mindset has changed. He believes the system has failed, and in his eyes, action is now more important than patience. This creates a growing divide between Devon and those trying to protect him from himself. His decisions become more secretive, and there is a strong indication that he may once again go behind Abby's back. The emotional intensity driving him is powerful, but it is also clouding his judgment in ways that could lead to serious conflict with others in Genoa City. Meanwhile, Jack Abbott's strategy continues to quietly develop. What began as a subtle idea is now turning into a carefully structured plan designed to unsettle Victor Newman emotionally. Jack knows that direct confrontation rarely works with Victor, so instead, he is focusing on psychological pressure and strategic positioning. Nikki Newman becomes an unintentional part of this unfolding situation. Her presence alongside Jack creates the appearance of closeness that immediately raises tension. Whether this is a true emotional shift or a calculated move remains unclear, but the effect is already being felt in the Newman household. Victor notices everything. Even when he does not react immediately, he is constantly analyzing situations, especially when Nikki is involved. Any perceived manipulation involving his family triggers his protective instincts, and this situation is no exception. At the same time, Nikki finds herself caught in a complicated emotional space. She is aware that her actions, or even appearances, can influence how Victor responds, but she may not fully understand the extent of Jack's underlying intentions. This puts her in a delicate position where trust and perception become dangerously intertwined. Elsewhere, the Winters family continues to navigate the emotional weight of Malcolm Winters' medical crisis. The bone marrow match remains a critical point in the storyline, but the emotional consequences are becoming just as significant as the medical ones. Kane Ashby's involvement continues to create tension, especially for Lily Winters, who is forced to confront unresolved feelings she thought were long buried. Lily is trying to stay strong for her family, but internally, she is torn. Hope for her father's survival is mixed with emotional confusion about Kane's role in the situation. Every interaction carries emotional history, making it difficult for her to separate the past from the present. This emotional overlap creates tension within the family dynamic, even when everyone is focused on saving Malcolm. Meanwhile, Sharon Newman and Noah Newman are still recovering from their traumatic ordeal involving Matt Clark. Even though immediate danger has passed, emotional recovery is far from complete. Sharon remains cautious, still trying to determine who can be trusted after everything that happened. The arrival of Sienna Bacall continues to add uncertainty to the situation. Sienna's presence is unsettling in a subtle but persistent way. She appears during critical moments, and her behavior raises quiet suspicion. Sharon cannot shake the feeling that there is more to Sienna than what is being shown on the surface, and this doubt keeps her from fully relaxing even after the crisis. As these storylines continue to unfold, Genoa City becomes more emotionally unstable with each passing day. Trust is breaking down, family bonds are being tested, and hidden agendas are beginning to surface in unexpected places. Every character is now standing at a crossroads where one decision could completely change their future. As the next phase unfolds in Genoa City, everything begins to converge toward a breaking point where emotions, secrets, and power struggles all collide at once. What started as separate crises across families is now forming one larger storm that no one can fully control anymore. Nick Newman is slowly trying to rebuild his life after finally admitting his addiction to Victor. While treatment has been arranged and things appear more structured on the outside, internally Nick is still fragile. Recovery is not a straight path for him. There are moments of clarity where he genuinely wants to move forward, but there are also deep emotional setbacks tied to guilt, trauma, and everything that happened during the recent crisis involving Matt Clark. The weight of his experiences doesn't disappear just because he has confessed. Victor Newman remains firmly in control of the situation. He is doing everything possible to protect Nick while keeping the situation out of public view. For Victor, this is not just about helping his son, it is about maintaining strength and stability within the Newman empire. Any sign of weakness is handled quietly but firmly. However, emotional control within the family is not equally shared. Adam Newman continues to deal with the emotional aftermath of everything that happened. Even though he was involved in helping during the crisis, he is left questioning where he stands with Nick and how their relationship will evolve moving forward. The tension between responsibility and resentment quietly lingers between them. At the same time, Devon Winters reaches a critical emotional point. His frustration over Mariah Copeland's legal situation continues to escalate, and it becomes clear that he is no longer thinking in terms of compromise. Instead, he is focused on what he believes is justice, regardless of the consequences. This mindset pushes Devon closer to making irreversible decisions. Abby Winters tries once again to pull him back from the edge, but Devon's emotional state is too intense to easily redirect. His sense of loyalty and protection toward those he cares about is driving him into dangerous territory, where logic is slowly being replaced by emotion. A confrontation feels increasingly possible if he continues down this path. Meanwhile, Jack Abbott's plan reaches a more active stage. What was once subtle manipulation has now evolved into a more visible strategy aimed at influencing Victor Newman's emotional reactions. Jack understands that direct attacks are ineffective, so he continues using psychological pressure instead. Nikki Newman remains indirectly involved in this unfolding situation. Her interactions create tension and speculation, especially as her presence alongside Jack becomes more noticeable. Whether intentional or not, this dynamic is exactly what begins to disrupt Victor's emotional balance. Victor is not someone who ignores patterns. Even if he does not immediately respond, he is always analyzing behavior and motives. The situation involving Nikki and Jack does not go unnoticed, and it sets the stage for a potential shift in how Victor chooses to respond in the coming days. Elsewhere, the Winters family remains deeply focused on Malcolm Winters' medical situation. The bone marrow match continues to be a source of both hope and emotional complexity. Kane Ashby's involvement is still central to the storyline, and while the medical side offers hope, the emotional impact on Lily Winters remains significant. Lily is caught between relief and emotional uncertainty. She wants to believe this moment could bring healing for her family, but Kane's presence forces her to confront unresolved emotions from the past. Every conversation carries emotional weight, even when the focus is supposed to be purely medical. This emotional overlap creates tension that cannot be easily ignored. Meanwhile, Sharon Newman and Noah Newman are still recovering from their traumatic experience involving Matt Clark. Although immediate danger has passed, emotional recovery is ongoing, and trust remains fragile. Sienna Bacall's presence continues to raise quiet concern. She appears during important moments, and her behavior leaves lingering questions rather than answers. Sharon's instincts tell her that everything is not fully clear, and she remains cautious as she tries to piece together the truth. As all of these storylines come together, Genoa City stands at a turning point. Families are being tested, secrets are influencing decisions, and emotional pressure is shaping outcomes in ways no one can fully predict. Every character is now facing consequences of past actions while also preparing for decisions that will define their future. And as this chapter closes, one thing becomes certain.